Live for the second time today. It's about 5:10. I think I got here right when I said I was going to. Um, and we're going to do a blog reading. I went back and forth on what I was going to read today. Maybe still not 100% settled. I'm thinking, you know what? Possibly. I do enjoy discussing what I've read. But I've also considered maybe adding in uh, something extra. We'll see. Play it all by ear. See how it unfolds. Tonight I was going to read. I've been revisiting quite a bit last March. Um, it seemed a particularly inspired month as far as yoga, consciousness, and nature. Truly, you could say it's all one thing. Different aspects of all one thing that each one has its own unique creative expression, but it all relates the same. And the reason I liken that is, as I always like to explain, even though everyone pretty much knows it, that yoga is a life path. Yoga isn't a form of exercise. Yoga contains exercise, but very specific exercises that are designed not just to get you in shape. It's not supposed to just be a workout. And by rights, it doesn't even have to be a workout. It's designed to open up the energetic centers of the body to balance the chakras and give rise to the Kundalini energy along the spine, um, as well as allowing us to sit in meditation for longer and longer periods of time. That's the role that asanas play in yoga. And then, of course, upon coming to the West, the funny thing is, when yoga first came to the West, the yoga postures were de-emphasized quite a bit because people, first off, some of the original swamis, Vivekananda, um, and all the way up into Paramahansa Yogananda, sort of viewed the um, asanas, the more extreme asanas, not to be a part of yoga, but more for street performers. Actually, they sort of looked upon it with disdain. Not, again, that they didn't use specific asana practices, but it wasn't really the extreme stuff that you see now, or even these full routines that you see now. That kind of came later for most yogic schools. Um, and then, so when the early swamis came to the United States, starting in the 1880s, um, all the way up present day, but all the way up until the 1960s, early 70s, for the most part. It was, at first, the yoga asanas were de-emphasized, and the spirituality of it, which is the intent of yoga, was emphasized. And I guess around the 1940s or so, that started changing a bit, and the yoga asanas became more prominent to the point now where even in India actually had undergo an inner nation revolution, returning back to its roots, because it was largely forgotten that by the general populace, the path of yoga. And if you mention yoga now, whenever I talk about yoga, I'm often asked about stretching routines. If people, if I say that I'm a 200-hour certified yoga teacher, I'm often asked, hey, can you design a yoga plan for running, for rock climbing, for whatever? And I sort of have to mention I'm not that kind of yogi. I mean, I'm sure I could, but that's not what I'm always hesitant to use the word teach. That's not what I share. What I try to share, to the best that I'm able, and to the best that I know. As I'm always learning, I'm always a student. I don't, I am not attached to any dogma. I've had people come here before, actually just recently, a few days ago, who want to challenge me on some of the stuff that I've said. And the thing is, I don't care. I don't care if you know more than me. Um, what I do care is, well, what I wonder is, why do you wish to demonstrate to me how much you know? Um, because I'm really not interested. If you come here to share, that's a different story. I'm always open to that. But I'm not here to debate. I am here to learn. So if you have something to share, that's awesome. Um, I do my best to not be attached to my own dogmatic thinking, to my own opinions, to any of that. And when I find myself defending something, then I realize it's really time to reevaluate what I'm holding on to. Why am I clinging to something? Why am I defensive about an idea? The things that I feel that I know, the things that I could call insights or revelations or part of an awakening, they're still ever changing. None of it's set in stone. All of it's mystery. And all of it is still unfolding, flowing. So how can I cling to something that's always changing, always deepening, always a slightly different expression each and every time? So I don't cling to it. Doesn't mean that at a certain time I might not hold it a little closer and think, well, this is an important aspect for me to keep in consideration. A lot of times I keep that stuff under wrap. The quickest way to ruin an insight is to bring it out and offer it to others too soon, when it's still raw, when it's still, it's not ready to be exposed. It's like darkroom techniques, which I think they still do, right? People still develop photos. Not everything is in the age of digital, I don't think. But it used to be, and probably still is, you had to be very careful with the exposure of a photo when you were developing it. And it's the same with insights. It's the same, with revelations and that ongoing awakening. You just don't want to overexpose it, and put it out there just yet. But I've had people approach me very certain in what is so, and very certain that they're right and I'm wrong, and I'm very certain that yes, if not wrong, I simply don't know. And for me, it's better to stay in that don't know mindset, which is important tenet in Buddhism, in Zen, particularly Korean Zen, where I forget his name, but we're going to Google him up in just a minute. So Zen, I have all of his books over in the next room. He wrote Wanting Enlightenment is a Big Mistake. Korean Zen master Seong San also wrote or compiled Dropping Ashes on the Buddha. And quite a few others that aren't yet up here. Tomsy said, God, I thought you were Moby then. You know what? Of all the people that I'm told that I look like, I'm always surprised that more people don't say Moby. You're one of the, I think you're the first on YouTube that has said that. I've heard it before, but I've never heard it on YouTube before. There's worse musicians to look like. I would imagine. You could have said Alice Cooper. Nothing against Alice Cooper. I'm just not so sure I'd want to resemble Alice Cooper. Um, you could have said Jerry Garcia, and I love Jerry Garcia, but I definitely don't want to look like Jerry Garcia. Um, so yeah, Moby's fine. Um, Tomsy said, compliment, dude. Laughing out loud. Good musician, too. He is a good musician. And I did take it as a compliment. So, again, um, it just occurred to me when you said that, uh, that no one on, I had someone last week come on and said, man, you look like Stephen Hawking's. um, which caught me by surprise. I assumed they meant that I looked really, really intelligent, but they assured me that's not what they meant. Um, I wonder what Moby's doing now. I haven't heard much from him. In the mid 2000s, he was collaborating with a lot of people. He did something with Gwen Stefani, I believe. Of course, his style of music, never going to be mainstream. I don't think people are going to, ever have his poster on their bedroom wall. Which I'm not even sure kids do that anymore with anybody. So, yeah. Anyway, Korean Zen, particularly, they cultivate the don't know mind, that state of uncertainty, because that's the fluidity of existence, that all trouble in the world stems from believing ourselves to be certain on things, and that those who don't agree are wrong. And if you're really, really wrong, then you need to be persecuted for your wrongness. The reason why Suong San said wanting enlightenment is a big mistake is because you're fixing it as a concept. You're chasing after something. And enlightenment has nothing to do with a concept. You'll never reach it. One, if you believe you have to reach for it, and if you believe it's an accomplishment, and if you want it so badly that you're literally forcing it aside. So cultivate that uncertainty. So, as I was saying, way, way before I started talking about all kinds of other stuff, I was revisiting the month of March 2023, and the stuff that I wrote. This was written March 2nd, and it is on the sun salutation. So what I've been doing, I read it once, rather poorly, stumbling over my own words. For one, I never rehearse, and I haven't looked at this since March 2nd, 2023. And then I'll maybe talk about it a little bit, and then I reread it slowly, breaking it down, going off course, answering questions, if anyone ever has questions. So we'll see how it goes. This was written about the sun salutation. And so I perform the sun salutation before even a hint of first light, as if greeting what's soon to arrive, my own ritual of fulfillment done and given to the new day. This is indeed a prayer, full body, gratefulness stretching through every vertebrae, opening myself to receive every measure of the coming light. I am thankful to be in motion, able to move through the ancient sequence of postures that has awakened so many before me, and will continue to do so for ages more. I am a link in an endless, ageless chain, and every morning I am reminded of this connection, of Yogi's century ago and the same performance, of ritual shared between us all. We greet the sun together. I so deeply love this morning prayer, truly being a celebration of life, showing how grateful I am through the gift of body and attention, mindful of breath and how it moves and pauses through the entire sequences of poses, flowing with a wisdom completely of its own. My body knows exactly what to do, not just from the sake of years of practice, but something much deeper at play here, ancient, cellular, embedded in the DNA of my very existence. The sun salutation is a memory of previous bodies. Yes, I'm talking about reincarnation, yet not of a continuing soul, but of molecules and atoms, particles that were once gathered in other forms and prayed to sunlight in a similar fashion as I do now. And still we greet the sun together. The sun salutation is a specific yogic practice, a series of postures meant to flow in sequence, opening energy channels, stretching fully and gentle, every aspect of the body. Yet we can each offer up a morning prayer, a yoga of our own affair, a private gesture performed through whatever grace we're now given. Even a nod, when done with purity and full awareness, is a complete salutation, an entire yoga system contained within a glance and slightest motion. It's just a means of being grateful, appreciative to a sunlit day, a small prayer that's offered to the morning, and through this, we greet the sun together. That is the sun salutation. Hey, my good friend, I like to refer to her, I like to think of her as my soul sister. Family in the most important way, family of the soul. Destiny Forever Walks PhD is here. Thank you for coming in, Destiny. I appreciate it. And she says, hello, Eric. How are you? Here for a while. I'm cooking dinner. No doubt you are cooking a healthful, nutritious, and great tasting dinner. I'm absolutely sure of it. So I just read the morning blog of March 2nd, 2023. So a year and a couple weeks ago. And it was about the sun salutation. If anyone wants to practice the physical aspects of yoga, the asanas, it doesn't need to be an hour's worth of practice. It doesn't need to be a lot of strenuous, complicated postures. Honestly, if you did 3 postures followed by sun salutation once or twice, that would be enough. If you just did sun salutation on waking up to the morning, if you woke up, you did a little bit of breath work, you did sun salutation, you sat for meditation, or you sat for prayer, or you chanted, or you just sat appreciative, welcoming the sunlight, welcoming the day, welcoming all the gifts that are going to come. And no matter how bad that day might turn out, there were gifts, for certain. Sometimes we become gift blind. We don't see them. But you know what? If you think you become gift blind, take a breath. One breath. One slow, appreciative, thankful, grateful breath. You have an abundance of air coming to you easily, naturally. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to wonder, where am I going to catch this next pocket of air? There's nothing but air. You are surrounded by this gift. Take a look outside your window, or better yet, go outside and be grateful for the trees that are cleansing the air for you. That we're working in a relationship, a community with these trees. Put your feet in the grass and be grateful that you can feel. It's all a gift. Existence, beingness, aliveness. It's all a gift. For me, yoga, the entire path of yoga, that was the means of actualizing those gifts, becoming deeply, deeply aware, not just as a concept, but as a living thing that I was part of, that I was a participant. Yoga made me realize that I'm a participant in life. By yoga, I mean meditation, breath work, asana, the ethical principles. Destiny says that I'm making vegetables with varieties of vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. Perfect. I had my dinner. Well, my dinner is really my largest meal of the day, which is midday. Midday for me. And that is usually some type of whole grain, rice, quinoa, sometimes barley, brown rice, of course, cooked in my Instapot with lentils, and I'll have a diced up red potato in there, and it is served over steamed kale and steamed broccoli. And then I have a banana and an apple sort of as my dessert. And then my dinner, in the summertime, when it's warmer, I'll do a smoothie, salad, and then a smoothie. And in the winter, when according to Ayurvedic, in the doshas, I need a warmer meal in the winter, and I can feel that. If I have a smoothie in the winter, I'm cold for the rest of the night. So I have another bowl of oatmeal. I have oatmeal for breakfast. So I'll do another bowl of oatmeal for my evening dinner in the winter and early spring. Probably another month or two before I switch back over. Desi said, did you watch the video on YouTube Fair? YouTube Fair used that I tagged you in this morning? I didn't see that I was tagged. I'll double check before I go to bed. I don't want to miss something. Our friend Noble Scroller Traveler did a 12-hour live session that he was there engaged the entire time. Absolutely amazing feat of YouTube endurance. So I spent some time over there, was chatting with him. So as I've been doing is I read the blog a second time, slower, and I break it up. I answer questions, or just provide some insights as they occur to me. So, always anyone who comes by, feel free to ask, what do I mean by something? Sometimes, I do my best to write every day, but sometimes I realize I'm writing, I don't edit anything. And sometimes I realize that I've written at 4 a.m. and I've made some typos or worded things a little off, whatever. So feel free to throw in anything, any thoughts, any insights. And again, this is called Sun Salutation, which is what it is based upon. All right, I almost interrupted myself. I'm going to read first, and then I'll interrupt myself when I get there. And so I perform the sun salutation before even a hint of first light, as if greeting what's soon to arrive, my own ritual of fulfillment done and given to the new day. This is indeed a prayer, full body, gratefulness stretched through every vertebrae, opening myself to receive every measure of the coming light. I am thankful to be in motion, able to move through this ancient sequence of postures that has awakened so many people before me, and will continue to do so for ages more. I am a link in an endless chain, in an endless ageless chain, and every morning I'm reminded of this connection of yogis centuries ago in the same performance of ritual shared between us all. We greet the sun together. So traditionally, the sun salutation series of flowing postures was done first thing in the morning. Some school of thought say you face the east, you face the coming sun. Other traditions Specifically, sorry, the one that I learned yoga through, yoga postures, asanas through, told you to face away from the sun, so you're facing west, so that your spine is absorbing the energy of the sun. I have to be honest with you, I like facing the sun. I like greeting and opening myself up to the coming of the light. It is best to be performed in what they call the hour of Brahma, which is about 1.5 hours before the sun rises to about an hour afterwards, give or take. That's the magical time of day. That's when the reality merges, the inner landscape of the mind and the supposed outer landscape of the cosmos are realized to be one and the same thing. It's a beautiful, beautiful flow. And I've done it every day for well over 25 years. And then periodically before so. Again, highly recommend it. I was talking about yoga and how little asanas, postures you really need to do. If you did, I would say child pose, shoulder stand, and maybe bridge pose. And then everything else is covered in sun salutation. You got your forward bend, you have downward dog, you have cobra, you have a deep lunge position. It's all covered. And again, the yoga asanas, they weren't designed to be an exercise program. They were designed to open up the energetic centers of the spine. They were designed to balance the chakras and raise the kundalini energy. They were designed so that we would receive Shakti, divine feminine energy, the creative force of the universe, with Shiva. Shiva is the god of yoga. Shiva is the lord of stillness and silence. When Shiva and Shakti meet, everything becomes, the universe becomes, we become. So we're cultivating that creative feminine energy, female energy and the male energy, and we're balancing it. And that's the true art of yoga. And originally, I've mentioned before in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, 195 sutras, short, pithy instructions. Patanjali being basically the father of yoga. He mentions asanas, I think, 3 times, and those are specific to sitting postures for meditation, finding a comfortable, steady, easy pose that you can sit in. All the other postures were designed so that we could sit longer in meditation. So our friend Destiny unfortunately had a bad experience with a yoga instructor who was more interested in the physical aspects than the true yogic path, it seems. I could be mistaken. She really, none of that had to be. She could have offered some very gentle, easy postures, instructed in some breath work, the ethical points of yoga, which are the foundations of yoga, and then some relaxation. Oh, I'm going to add in one more pose. At the end of all that, lie down in Shavasana, corpse pose. Some say Shavasana is the hardest pose of all because it's nothing to do. You lie there. You give yourself away. You surrender to breath and stillness. That's the posture that Ramana Maharishi was lying in, imagining that he was dead when he had his great awakening. So that was the first part. Let's move on to the second. I so deeply love this morning prayer, truly being a celebration of life, showing how grateful I am for the gift of body and attention, mindful of breath and how it moves and pauses through the entire sequence of poses, flowing with a wisdom completely of its own. My body knows exactly what to do, not just from the sake of years of practice. There's something much deeper at play here, ancient, cellular, embedded in the DNA of my very existence. The sun salutation is a memory of previous bodies. Yes, I'm talking reincarnation, yet not of a continuing soul, but of molecules and atoms, particles that were once gathered in other forms and prayed to sunlight in a similar fashion as I do now. And still, we greet the sun together. So, the sun salutation is truly, truly a prayer. And it's a prayer in motion. It's a prayer of gratefulness, a prayer of thank you. Remember, the German mystic Meister Eckhart had said, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that would be enough. What better prayer of thankfulness than displaying motion? That you get to move with a certain ease and comfort. You're opening up your spine. You are deeply stretching each vertebrae and opening up to the light. What better way of being thankful than saying thank you to the light, that without the light itself, nothing would be, nothing on earth would be. The very first act of God in Genesis, let there be light. That's what we're giving thanks to. That's what the prayer is offered. That's what the sun salutation is offering. It's a beautiful, beautiful expression. Desi says, you are exactly right, Eric. She was too much and doing it her way. I was talking about that just a little bit before you showed up. People being so certain that their way is the only way, and not allowing anything else. There's infinite ways of doing yoga, and everyone should start with a sense that, especially the postures, with a sense of ease, no strain. It's the same with meditation. The meditation that I teach, primordial sound meditation, it's not concentration. You're not using force. You're not using willpower. McFN, sorry, I'm pronouncing that. I'm the only viewer. Actually, my friend Destiny is here viewing as well. But I appreciate you being here. And you know what? If you were the only viewer, that would be okay. And I would be deeply appreciative of you being here, my friend. So thank you. But I'm going to step aside from the camera just for one instant. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, I appreciate every single viewer. And honestly, if no one showed up, for the most part, I'd still be having this exact conversation, just me and the camera. Sometimes you're your own best audience, especially when you realize that what you're offering is always for yourself anyway. It always amazes me to think that. That's the thing about being a teacher. That's the thing about being a yoga teacher, is you're really teaching yourself. I love gymnastics. Remember me? I always remember you. And I always appreciate you being here. How are you? So, one last part of the blog, and then I'll be done. The sun salutation is a specific yoga practice, a series of postures meant to flow in sequence, opening energy channels, stretching fully and gentle every aspect of the body. Yet we can each offer up a morning prayer, a yoga of our own affair, a private gesture performed through whatever grace we're now given. Even a nod, when done with purity and full awareness, is a complete salutation, an entire yoga system contained within a glance and slightest motion. It's just a means of being grateful, appreciative to a sunlit day, a small prayer that's offered to the morning, and through this, we greet the sun together. So, the sun salutation, full body flow. Beautiful. When you watch somebody at my best, at my most graceful, I'm a far cry from having a beautiful flow. Sometimes I'll hit something and it'll feel just right. Everything opens up. But when you watch someone who you can only think that they've been a yogi for many, many lifetimes. It's just such a beautiful thing to see, how it flows. And it is synchronized with the breath. But anything can turn into a sun salutation. Anything can turn into a salutation that we offer each other. Let's see. I love gymnastics says good, and about to go to gymnastics. Have a great practice, and train hard. Hey, if you have a meet coming up, make sure you pop in and let everyone know how you did. Everyone would definitely be interested. I would definitely be interested. Destiny is saying hello to I Love Gymnastics, and Destiny says nice reading and thanks for expounding on it, Eric. You're welcome, Destiny. But again, anything can turn into a salutation, a prayer of thankfulness. I Love Gymnastics says, yep, the regionals. Wow, that's a big one. Is that tonight or is this practice tonight? Are you getting ready for regionals? And again, definitely come by and let us know how you did. And good luck. Regionals is huge. So here's earlier today, I was reading about the foundation of yoga. And I mentioned, I talked about the yamas and niyamas, which I talk about quite a bit. Those are the ethical restraints and the personal observances. And the very last of the niyamas, the fifth one, is surrender. And you are surrendering to some might call it God, some might say love, some might say life, some might say reality. Doesn't matter. It matters to you, and only you. You get to assign it. That's the whole path of yoga. That constant surrendering. That's what the sun salutation is. It's a surrendering of self to welcome sunlight. That, in truth, we're luminous beings. We're light itself. We're made of sunlight. We're made of stars. So surrender to that light in everything you do, and that's the sun salutation. When Destiny is on her treadmill, she's jumping rope, that is a sun salutation. I love Janex who says I have state. I have state too. So it's state first, right? And then regionals? I think. It has been quite some time since my high school um, athletics, and we never ever came close to. When Keith said, "I'm going to sleep listening to you again," I wish one day we can be together and I will have your water body within my arms. Um, while you sing Hulk Hogan themes like a lullaby. Good night, my love. Um, man, that puts a lot of pressure on me to learn a Hulk Hogan theme, and I'm not 100% sure that I'm up to the task, my friend. I apologize. Uh, as well, my significant other would be questioning why I was learning. She'd be suspicious. Why are you learning to sing Hulk Hogan themes? She would know that I was up to something and that it was something no good, maybe even nefarious. And that's probably the first time in quite some time that I've used the word nefarious. Um, so, my apologies. There'll be no Hulk Hogan theme lullabies. However, I'm glad you're here, and I'm even glad you left a comment. So thank you. I appreciate that. Um, so even for I Love Gymnastics, you surrender, surrender, surrender. Not the You're not surrendering gymnastics, but you're surrendering the results of gymnastics to God. The way of karma yoga is knowing that everything you do and perform is for the sake of God and not for your own sake. That takes all the pressure off of you. You surrender the gymnastics to God, and God takes care of the details. Um, so, as I was mentioning towards the end there, even a nod, even nodding your head, can be a complete yogic practice. Can be, if it's done with mindfulness, if it's done with love, gratefulness, an appreciative nod to the sun. Or if it's nighttime, an appreciative nod to the moon, to the air, to the stars. Opening ourselves up, opening ourselves up, opening ourselves up. Receiving. Destiny has some wonderful words for Win Key. Life is too short to sleep through it without enjoying the reality of living. Spot on. And you know what? As Destiny alludes to, if you're not engaged in life, if you're not aware, but more importantly, if you're not aware that you're aware, then you're asleep. You could be wide awake and still asleep. The key is, you know what, I have to remember for people who come to leave funny comments like that, I have to remember to ask them to leave a like behind. I don't mind any comment at all. And I'm always happy to engage and greet everyone, welcoming them. But I should remember to ask them for a like. I have to keep reminding myself that. So that's an excellent point, Destiny. Waking up, not just physically. I was just reading this afternoon a little essay by Anthony de Mello, who is a Jesuit priest, was a Jesuit priest, but he was born in India, raised a Hindu, steeped in yogic and Vedic and Buddhist philosophy, as well as Islamic. So he was a true mystic, but his path was Jesus, that he realized at a young age. He also realized that to be for him, with that realization, his path of Jesus was all inclusive. You get insights and wisdom and love from all sources. Destiny says, Eric, it seems that you attract a lot of these nonsense viewers. That's just proof that you're living in your purpose. Thank you. I appreciate that. Dawn People says, pleasant afternoon. Thank you. And you know what? Man, I really like that. I really like that name, Dawn People. It's just has a beautiful connotation to it. People of the dawn, people awakening. It's awesome. Pleasant afternoon, and I appreciate you being here. And Dawn People is saying, hey there, everyone. So I've been talking about sun salutation and waking up, yoga, being appreciative. Destiny says, hello, Dawn People, blessings to you. And we got some nice heart emojis for Destiny. So, for me, the whole point of doing the yoga asanas at all, aside from, again, opening up the energetic centers of the body, is just being appreciative that out of all the physical things that I do, which is a fair amount, it's a true practice of being grateful and appreciative, opening my body and allowing yoga at its best, and in this case I mean yoga asanas at their best, is an expression of prana. And if I can get out of my way, if I can get out of my head and just let the prana express itself through the vehicle of my body, which is made of prana, which means that all I need to do is, there has to be a willingness to suspend the belief that I'm separate and just open up, allowing myself to be a vessel for prana. The yoga takes on a life of its own. That's what I really wish Destiny's yoga teacher had stressed. But sadly, it does seem, especially in the United States, not all, but a lot of yoga teachers are mainly fitness trainers. And being a fitness trainer is a wonderful thing to be. But being a yoga teacher, a true yoga teacher, is a vocation. It's a deep, it's a calling. And every aspect of yoga, if you're called to it, every aspect of yoga should be explored. Which is why, although, obviously, I'm just a yogi in his basement, and I do say that I share yoga more so than teach it. I'm a certified meditation instructor. I'm a breathwork coach, as well as a certified pranayama teacher. But my path of teaching yoga would be through meditation and pranayama. But you should still have, you should still be opening up your knowledge base to every aspect of it. And that meant getting my 200-hour yoga teaching certification. Not because I want to teach the postures. For one, it really helped deepen my own practice. After 30 years of practicing, to be able to open up on a deeper level was a pretty amazing thing. So I'm grateful that I did it. But again, it was, I was very fortunate in the two yoga teaching certifications that I did. Both of them taught the complete path of yoga. Both of them started with the ethical principles, with the foundation, and then work their way forward all the way through um, the yamas, niyamas, the asanas, pranayama, the pratyahara, to meditation, ending with samadhi. So I was really fortunate to find those teachers that they wanted their students to represent the purity of yoga, which I try to do. And again, I don't consider myself a teacher, a perpetual student, and someone who just loves to share. I love to share what I find so fascinating and engaging that I've spent my entire life doing it. And hopefully I do it justice. So for today, the writing was a sun salutation. The writing was of a sun salutation. Highly recommend. Get out of bed, say a short prayer, a little thank you, do breath work, sun salutation, just a couple other postures, sit meditation, or say another prayer, or practice, a deep contemplative prayer. The first prayer in the morning is simply saying thank you. And you know what? If you just bring awareness to the breath, that first waking breath that you take, that's a huge thank you. You're thanking the universe for, on first rising, providing everything you need to exist. And then get outside in nature. There's your yoga practice, right there. Complete. I would add, when you come back from being in nature, engage in some sort of creative ritual. If you're a painter, get in front of your canvas. If you're a writer, sit down and write. If you are whatever it is. I know of someone who drew a circle every day for several years. Every circle was different because every day is different. His hand was different every day. Everything about him, everything about the morning was different. So each day was a different circle. He didn't try to make it different. That's just how life works. Always different. That was his creative act. Destiny says, you are, and thanks for sharing your knowledge and wisdom, Eric. Thank you, Destiny. I really think the only way to stay open and to keep learning is also to share. That, what's the point in knowing anything if it's not a benefit to others? What would be the point of knowing and practicing yoga, the entire path of yoga, if it doesn't break you open and spill out, and you offer it to others? That whenever someone comes here to this channel with in any attempt to be disruptive, that you can smile and laugh and appreciate them just for being here. You can't be disrupted if you don't participate in the disrupting influence. That's yoga. Equanimity and grace. And it comes through our practice. Destiny says, like the Bible says, ever learning and growing into the knowledge of the truth. Exactly. And I really like the thought of being broken open, because we grow so hard in our beliefs and our opinions through life, so set. And anyone who challenges us is shouted down or pushed away or ignored. So we never grow, we never expand. Um, there's entire uh, religious sects or uh, groups that will condemn yoga because it is not Christian. But it's also not Christian. I would go so far to say that those who are Christians would be better Christians through the practice of yoga because it forces us to confront our own ethical thoughts. We don't harm, we don't steal. These are all things that we work on. We don't hoard, which means we give things away freely. But so to be broken open means all those rigid thoughts that we've held for so long are simply broke open, and in their cracks, in the cracks of that breaking, light comes in. That, as Destiny said, we are growing into knowledge and truth. Another way of saying knowledge and truth, simply saying light. We're growing into the light. We're growing into the light in which we are. And as I mentioned earlier, the first thing God commanded, let there be light. And so there was. We could say that was the Big Bang. God whispering to that singularity of energy, expand. I love that metaphor because we've talked a bit before, Destiny and I, about from the Talmud, above every blade of grass, there's an angel whispering, grow. And I love the thought that there was that singularity of dense energy contained the primordial beginningness of the entire universe, but just there, not doing anything, until God whispered, expand, and the universe came into existence. Destiny says, okay, it's been nice, but I have to go and finish up dinner. I will catch you at another time and fellowship. Thanks a million for everything. Blessing to you, Eric, and to all in the chat. Good night. Thank you, Destiny. I appreciate you being here, and I won't be long either. It's almost 6:15 here. I actually will be going to bed not too long. I'll be doing some reading. I'll probably chat here for a minute to myself and make it to that hour mark. So thank you. I appreciate it. Enjoy your dinner and your the rest of your evening. So that was the blog reading for the night. And it actually went pretty nicely. It actually flowed pretty nicely. As I mentioned before, March of 2023 was a good month of writing, so it seems. Quite a bit about yoga, quite a bit about mantra and meditation and nature. And at a certain point, we see that it's all the same thing. You can't separate yoga from nature. You can't separate, meditation is the end result of all of our practice in meditation. It's meant to be practiced within the yogic structure. And through that, we find our connection. Path of yoga is simply remembering our essential nature. And with that, we wake up to the larger nature. We see everything as an aspect of us. Every bird sings directly to us. The sun shines directly to us because there's nowhere else to be. Destiny says, you're doing absolutely great, and I am proud of you and your achievements. Peace out. Thank you, Destiny. Take care. Have a wonderful night. So, hey, that's what I'm doing, guys. I'm talking about yoga. I'm not teaching yoga. I'm talking about it. I'm sharing it, my own practice for decades and decades and decades. Always learning, as Destiny said, quoting from the Bible, uh, ever learning and growing into knowledge of the truth, whatever that truth is. And the truth itself is always growing, always expanding, always holding just a little bit more. So that's going to be it for tonight, guys. Appreciate everyone being here, everyone who stopped by, even the funny comments. I actually don't mind them. And of all the comments, that was pretty clever. Who would have thought? That is worthy. That's genius level, in my opinion. Hulk Hogan theme like a lullaby. Oh, wait a minute. Sing Hulk Hogan theme like a lullaby. Man, that would be tough because the theme is just now occurring to me. It's funny because I had someone up earlier say that I look like Moby. And at one time, when I was a 220-pound powerlifter, I was told that I looked like Hulk Hogan. It's funny how things change through the course of a long life. That I went from Hulk Hogan-esque to Moby-ish, with stops in between. So, guys, unless anyone has a question, you see there might be a few quiet people out there. I'll see everyone tomorrow. I'll be back in the morning. I'll be doing my burpees. I really should try to do a live session of burpees sometime. And then I'll be back in the afternoon and we'll have another live session and we'll talk. Thanks. I love gymnastics. Thanks for stopping in, and good luck in states and regional. Take care, my friends.